we go. What's going on, everybody?
Hey there, everyone.
Welcome back to Power Trip.
Power Trip.
Power Trip. We got Tim back because we are punching our way through the X series. And of course, Tim is a professional at it.
That is true, and we're playing Mega Man
X2. Kevin's in the corner. He might throw a word in every once in a while. Who knows? He'll like throw a finger in every once.
He might.
Just barely.
Yep.
I'm gonna make this video not able to go up. You're just gonna see wiener pop out.
Wouldn't be the first time. So what's up with you, Tim?
Not too much. Guess just coming off of playing Mega Man 11 and going back to playing some of the X games. So it's been a pretty good time to be a Mega Man fan.
Oh yeah.
Very much so.
Mega Man's on his high horse right now.
Yes, he is.
They re-released 2 and X in those collectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There.
The 8-bit, 8-bit, what is it, company? They
I Am 8-Bit.
released them. Yeah, just 8-bit. I Am 8-Bit, yep.
I mean, they're flying high. Who knows? There might be another wonderful X game somewhere or
That's
something.
what we're hoping for. So they did a re-release of the Mega Man X series soundtrack, and they have like a little description for each game in the series. And next to X8, they put like an empty slot saying that I think it's like X's journey is continuing in the future. I forget the exact text, but it's hinting that something's coming. And I know that a lot of the production team for 11 has been talking about how they have things that that are going on. And it sounds like 11 performed really well. Like I think both critically and commercially, it sounds like it sold fairly well and people responded to it. So if I had to guess, I think that an X game sounds pretty likely. It just makes sense too. I think it's a good time for it.
Which is really funny because Capcom said that there was no market anymore for Mega Man, that it's been dried up, and that people just don't want to play Mega Man anymore.
I think, like, interesting enough, I think it's that kind of killing off Mega Man is what kind of brought it back, because I think that
and then people wanted it back,
like sales weren't doing so well. People just weren't really paying attention. As I was always there for these games, like, when we saw like toward the end of the 90s and into the 2000s, when you had like the Battle Network series and the Zero series coming out, and I also liked like, getting into like PS2 era, getting Mega Man X8 and Command Mission. But I knew at that time, many of my contemporaries weren't too kind to Mega Man at the time. They were like, oh, it's just another Mega Man game. It's another Mega Man game. I'm like, no, these are actually really good. Like, give them a chance. And so when time came for the announcement for Mega Man Universe, Mega Man Online, Mega Man Legends 3, like I thought, like, okay, it would probably be the same as those games. Like, people would just say, oh, it's just another Mega Man game, like everyone else would, but the diehard Mega Man fans like myself would eat it up. And then when they canceled those, like, everyone freaked out and responded to it. I think that response is kind of what's brought this back.
Is what brought it all back.
Didn't 9 and 10 do well as well?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they ever released exact figures for those games. It sounds like that they performed well enough, like at expectations.
And they were only digital only.
Yeah, so those are digital games. So it's not like they weren't really high risk. They were something they could do at the time. But it's not like that. It wasn't part of like a greater strategy. But I think now, like, they sort of try to have a more clear vision of what they want to do. And I think Capcom has tried to reassess a lot of their franchises with that. Like, they have, like, with Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2, like they have a pretty clear path for these. And it sounds like for the Mega Man franchise, you have people like Kitamura Akira, who's, like, original character designer for Mega Man, and a lot of the staff who worked on many of the classic series, like Mega Man 5 and Mega Man 2 and Mega Man X and so on, like, really coming together for the franchise and, like, being really passionate about it.
Inafune came back for
he's
11, didn't he?
No, he's not part of it. So, and that's sort of a thing is like you can't really talk about Mega Man and not talk about Inafune, but he's really a producer, and he didn't like a lot of people call him like the Godfather of Mega Man, but he didn't really create Mega Man. And a lot of it kind of goes. I think Kitamura doesn't really get a lot of the credit he deserves for what he's done, and it's like I have a lot of respect for Inafune, and I just feel like there's more room for like to respect people, and that people should talk about Kitamura-san a bit more about what he's done for Mega Man and other people about it, because it's not just one man who did everything for these. So with 11 when it came out, I think it showed that you could still make a really great Mega Man game without Inafune, and many of the games that come out like without necessarily his input on it.
Oh, sure.
So it's more than just him. And I think that 11 did a great job of really capturing the spirit of the franchise. It's it's really bright, it's colorful, it's really fun to play, it's really solid mechanics. Like, I think it's absolutely brilliant, and and I could
Yeah.
spend our time gushing about that. So maybe another time we'll do an 11 playthrough video.
there you
Oh
go.
yeah, I plan on doing 11 on the channel at some point,
So,
as well as a lot of the other Mega Man games. So for now, let's hit up X2.
Yeah, so,
Alright.
So X is my favorite game in the franchise, and X2 I'm also really fond of.
Truth be told, I've never played X2.
Okay.
I do. Oh, actually, you know what? Before I.
Oh, that's volume.
Yeah, that's volume. It's on the right. Yeah, there you go. And
Is
I,
it-
I gotta plug it in. Even though it's probably fully charged.
I gotta plug it in.
That's right. This isn't Genesis. This is SNES.
Yep.
Boom, baby. Oh, sweet nuts.
Did you want
the
the intro
classic
play at all?
Capcom.
Or not?
It's up to you, man. You're at the helm.
I think Mega Man X was a really like seminal part in the franchise. Like it showed like how it could evolve and what it could do.
Yeah.
And at that time, I get the idea of what Capcom wanted to do. Like they said, well, we have the classic series which everyone likes, and we have the X series which is similar, but we've evolved the gameplay, so we can really do two different series. Which I actually like they did that. That way they continue. They said like Mega Man 7 continue the classic line, and X2 to continue like the X series.
Yeah.
I think for some it might have caused some brand confusion. Like people might have played 7 thinking that, oh, I just played X. Like why is this different?
But
I liked that it came out.
I'm of that mindset where when I first, like, the first time I ever heard of Mega Man X, I thought Mega Man X was Mega Man 10.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
I seriously did.
Yeah, so X doesn't stand for 10, it's like as the character name and it's as a variable, like that he can really like be anything. He has unlimited potential.
X always felt like a more cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Like whereas the original series focused more on just the gameplay and it's Mega Man. You fight the 8 bots. You kick Wily's ass. Call it a
jump
day.
and shoot.
Like this one felt like it was much more story heavy.
Yeah.
But it
very much
still
so.
had at its core the whole idea of the Mega Man, you know, the 8 robots and all that stuff. So like the X series to me was just, it was not your father's Mega Man. You know,
Yeah.
this is like a Mega Man for the new generation. You know what I mean?
Not your father's Mega Man.
So all right, I do have this on the Wii U like
Green Biker
virtual
Dude.
console, but I honestly have
Green
never
Biker
played it.
Dude, he's gonna die.
No.
So what's funny is that he's actually
No!
like the Mega Man fandom really likes him a lot. So like people will say like, oh, Green Biker Dude,
The guy
Oh,
who
is that
doesn't
what
do
he's-
anything.
like he just shows
That's
up.
what
and
he's,
really
and that's what
good.
he's known as Green Biker Dude?
Yep.
That's so funny.
Damn, dude, your fucking shooting finger still amazes me. Sorry, I just put the volume up on the screen.
That's alright. But there is a lot I like about X2. It's such a great game. I mean, really, just like they didn't have to do much after X1. X1's already such an amazing game.
I just like how much he looks more polished.
Oh, yeah.
even. Like
He's-
they cleaned him
Oh,
up a little bit.
yeah.
Everything is
He's
just
a really detailed sprite.
yeah.
Well, the graphics are amazing too. I know it came out on the Super Nintendo, and it was not like a launch title or anything like that, but it's still like it looks
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it has a really great visual style. I think it's really lent itself well. I think it's one of the things I like about Mega Man is there's a great sense of like parody of like character design, art, and the actual gameplay like, sprites. Like a lot of games, you look at the art and like the actual graphics don't really look like what it's supposed to. But with Mega Man, you always feel like this is what it is.
Yeah.
So with X, you got like like this very like anime style art. And it's really cool, and then like I think that the gameplay, like the actual sprites, reflect that really well.
Yeah, definitely. So in the true X fashion,
Yeah, the
it's like
intro
that was
stage.
just the intro.
So
Oh, yeah.
one thing that's cool about this one is it adds kind of an extra layer of nonlinearity. So you have these other characters now. These are the X hunters or the counter hunters. So they are basically stalking you in the game.
Are they kind of like what are they called, the Star Droids or whatever?
Oh, from Mega Man 5 on the Game Boy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of like and those ones, like those were like enemies that like came to Earth, like extraterrestrial robots. And this one, it's more like they are sort of like assassins, hitmen, like coming after you. So in this game, it's like Zero is dead after X1, but
Right.
a big story point is that you're able to recover Zero's parts, and that sort of changes like the path of the game.
Oh.
So besides the eight Mavericks, you can chase out they're like former members of Sigma's army, and you're trying to quash this rebellion in Sigma's wake. Because when Sigma waged war on humanity, like he had to hit a massive force. Like even after you defeated him, you still had people left.
Yeah.
So these guys are basically baiting you with Zero's parts, like saying, "Oh yeah, like I have a piece of Zero, like come out and fight me." So if you don't want to, you don't have to fight these guys. Like you can skip them
Oh, cool.
here,
Oh, wow.
but you'll just fight them at the end. You won't fight them at the beginning. But if you do hunt them down, you can get Zero's parts, which can that can affect how the story develops.
I would say, does it have a different
okay.
ending based on how it works?
Slightly. So you can either rescue Zero, in which case you'll bring him back, or if you don't, you have to fight Zero.
Oh, okay.
So if you do that, which
Oh,
is
they
pretty cool.
reassemble them themselves. Oh, clever.
So yep, I also like that. So this one shows like the map here. You can see around there.
Yeah.
When you get started, like they don't appear on the map, but after you go on, then you're actually gonna see that appear.
Oh.
So-
what was it? Wheel Gator?
Yeah, so-
Jesus
Gator.
Yeah,
Christ.
that's always like it's not meant to be taken super seriously for it. Like there's still like
Yeah.
an element of it. So I've always liked that they kind of kept that going.
Oh,
Was that,
okay.
is that Flame Impala?
Override Ostrich?
So there's Flame Stag.
Oh, I was close.
Oh, Flame Stag. Huh,
Magna
cool.
Centipede, Crystal Snail,
Oh my god,
Wheel
I know
Gator.
none of these enemies.
Bubble Crab,
Bubble Crab.
Overdrive Ostrich, and Wire Sponge, and
Sponge.
Morph Moth.
You might as well just do
Moth sounds pretty cool, actually.
cuckold cucumber. Like a sea cucumber, get it?
I also like that a lot of the bosses have kind of unique boss rooms in this one.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty like interesting. So X1 had like when you fought Storm Eagle, like you're actually on his ship and it's following.
That was cool.
They do some more things like that in this game where it's not just a simple room, which makes it pretty fun.
Dodger dick.
I mean, you have the alliteration there, like the consonants.
I like the alliteration. I am a
Oh,
fan.
yeah.
I am a fan of alliteration.
Dickfish dung beetle. Like, just you can really do anything.
Oh god.
Well, there
Yeah.
is a dung beetle. That's an X6. That's ground scaravage, I think it is.
That was what I always liked about the X series too. Is like the bosses, instead of being like, oh, it's like Splash Man, it's not a man anymore. It's like it's an animal. Of some sort.
It's an animal
And
hybrid.
I thought that was really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Now, is this one like was an X, where like if you did something in a certain stage, it would affect something else, or was that? Or am
Yeah.
I thinking Mega Man 8?
Well, in X1 it does happen.
Okay.
So like if you beat, for example, Storm Eagle's stage, and then you go to Spark Mandrill's, his ship crashed into Spark Mandrill's stage.
Yeah.
So that actually changes things up there.
I always thought that was really, really cool how they like had environmental effects based on the order of what you killed stuff.
Yeah.
That was always such a neat thing about the X series.
Well, unfortunately, they didn't really continue that past X1. Like that was an idea they had there, and I wish they would have kept that one, but they didn't really do that too much.
That's true. I suppose X4 didn't do anything like that. I loved X4.
That's a really good game. I really like that one.
We'll play the Saturn version for that one.
Yeah, that. I'd say that one's
X4.
better.
I have the Saturn version. It's it's actually where I like the first X game I played. Since I didn't have a SNES growing up, I never played any of these. So X4, when I had it for the Saturn, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking incredible.
I have I've got Mega Man 8 on the Saturn.
That's a really
Saturn
good
version.
game. I like Mega Man 8.
Yeah.
I think it's aged really
Oh my
well.
God.
I think at the time people weren't really into it, and then I think after time,
Oh,
people were
and then they got into
because
it,
a lot
yeah.
of early PS1 games, aged pretty poorly
Oh,
with
yeah.
their visuals. But 8 has this really great visual style.
You know what though? I am going to go ahead and say though that I think a lot more like of the N64 games
yeah.
and that era, like PlayStation 1 has aged a lot more gracefully than N64 games have. Like
Yeah.
I'll say that.
absolutely. Like I'm even talking games like Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's
does
kinda
not
hard to
look
see.
like it's aged that gracefully.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to look at because it looks like everything like rubbed with Vaseline.
Yeah.
Time. It's like, really hard to see.
But what I love most about like the PlayStation era, and you saw it a lot on PlayStation, was like all of the full motion video that they kept doing, or
Oh, yeah.
point and click
FMVs
stuff.
were the shit.
FMVs, point and clicks. I'm actually playing a point and click right now called Juggernaut, and it's kind of like a mix between. It's like D meets Myst.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's like everything just back then was like it's such stunning visuals, but yet it's because you only have like they only have to render like one screen at a time.
Right. I never actually got into Myst. I had Riven, I think.
See, and that was one that
I couldn't get into it.
See, and that was one that I tried on so many occasions to try to get into Myst, and it was just so cryptic that I just every time I would play it, I would be like, "Yep, I'm gonna get into it this time. I'm gonna love it," and I never did. It was just so hard to understand.
So I saw a question on like a Facebook group that I'm on, and one of the questions was, "What's one of the biggest like gaming disappointments where you were hyped up for the game, and you bought it and it just did not live up to your expectations, more so to the point that you couldn't really even play it?" I can think of one off the bat for you and I both.
Oh,
MVC3.
Yeah.
I really love that one.
It was.
I really love 3.
It was good.
See, I don't dislike it as much as Andy does, but it's still like I remember when I first played it, I was just.
Yeah, we were blown away.
I was blown away. But then when I realized that there wasn't as much substance to it as there was in like say Marvel vs. Capcom 2, it just like it wore off really quickly.
Oh, here you go. Now you're gonna get Tim going. I can see the wheels already.
No, that's
substance.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna call him out on that too.
Yeah.
What?
Substance, locking a bunch of shit behind an arbitrary point system.
No, that was incredible.
I am a fan of that. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't mind unlocking things.
Yes.
But when you make it a pain in the ass to get the points to unlock the stuff.
It wasn't. It wasn't getting the points
Yeah, okay,
that was the
Paul,
problem.
Let me guess. You went into the training mode and left.
No. You have never played Capcom versus SNK. Now that is a pain in the ass to get points for so that you can buy things, because not only did you get less points per victory, per everything, but everything cost a lot more in that than it did in...
So if the X Hunters were here, you can see there's like a boss door there. So a lot of the stages have like these little hidden passages.
Yeah, I was about to say you needed the wheel I saw to get through here, otherwise you just go down.
Yep.
What are you gonna do?
Well, he's not there right now, so that's like, I just wanted to show like, so they have those in the stages, so like when they do show up, like they actually have those routes there.
Okay, so you
possible,
can revisit them, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, actually, I loved when I bought MVC2
on the PlayStation Network, yeah.
I was pissed that they took that out. That everything was unlocked.
Everything was already unlocked off the bat.
Because there was like a certain thrill of finding that character you wanted for a deal.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It wasn't even just the fact that you had to get the points, but then you could like go into the store and leave the store. It's like, I remember like Omega Red. Like one time you would see him at like 2,000 points, and then you'd leave the store like 5 or 10 times, and you come back and it's like he's 800 points. It's like, yep, that's mine.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, it's just like I loved that thrill. It's like, hey, I found a really awesome rare character, but I got him for a really good price too. It's like, I don't know. It was like the best of both worlds.
The one thing I will say, the substance-wise, is I know where I'm pretty sure this is where they were going with it. Is like there were a lot of clone characters.
Yes.
Did you really need 2 Wolverines?
No, you didn't.
They were not different, other than Bone Claw and Douche Claw.
Yeah, Bone Claw and then Metal Claw. Yeah.
So it's like there were a lot of cloned characters that I didn't care for.
And
3
I
didn't
can understand that. I can understand. 3 did not do that. 3 did introduce a lot of great characters. I did love Dante. I love Deadpool.
Yeah.
I liked Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer was pretty good too.
Phoenix, I thought was cool.
I just like that. I saw people play as more characters than 2. I saw everyone just use like,
Oh yeah.
like Sentinel and like Magneto and Doom, like over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
But that's what
What is happening?
So I'm trying to get the bike up there to get a hard tank, but I am messing it up.
But see, that's one thing that I did not like about MVC3 is that they removed certain characters from the game because they basically said like, we want to introduce new characters because people are probably sick of seeing the same old.
That's fine.
They're sick of seeing the same old characters, and so like characters like Juggernaut were gone, Gambit was gone, Ken was gone, but then you still had like
Chun-Li.
Yeah. You still had Ryu.
Akuma.
You still had Akuma.
Yeah.
You had the Sentinel. You had all these different characters that like people have seen from like very beginning, but you got rid of a lot of characters that you really liked.
I didn't really like those ones very much. Like, I was
You know,
Juggernaut.
something.
Well,
That's okay.
Juggernaut was the biggest blow to him.
Like that's one. Like for me, like I had
love
like I
Juggernaut.
had like 0 for Mega Man X. I'm like anything else was just icing on the cake.
Was icing
yeah.
on the cake.
So I got that, and then like Amaterasu from Okami. And I was like,
Yeah,
this was
yeah.
super cool for me, and I'm like, all right.
It was an interesting.
It was
that was an
unique.
interesting.
And
Yeah,
then-
it was a unique addition.
And then like in the Ultimate Edition, I got Phoenix Wright. And I'm like, well, I'm done. Like this is great. Like I love this.
That's where you lost me. The characters they added in that, I did
I like
not
that.
agree with in the least.
Also, I think for me,
Hawkeye
it's that
was
like
in there,
like,
Doctor Strange.
Like, in MVC too, like always hated all Mega Man was never a viable character.
no, he really
that's-
wasn't. No.
I felt like they always treated him really poorly, and especially like I don't know. It just felt
Poor
like,
roll.
Like you couldn't use them really much at all. Like okay, like thanks a lot. Whereas 0 and 3, like he's really good and he's true to the character and he's fun to play.
That's where I do give you where, like that's where 3 was superior, was in that sense. But they picked some characters that to me didn't really make sense as far as being like Frank West. I didn't think he really should have been there. Or Arthur from
Oh, he's
Ghosts and
fine.
Goblins.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't. Or Firebrand. I was like, come
I liked him.
on.
Hager was that was
Firebrand
okay.
wasn't
that they,
even like a bad guy. Well, he was, but he like wasn't even a main bad guy in Ghouls and Ghosts.
that was yeah no it wasn't.
But he ended up being a character for the Demon's Crest.
Demon's
and
Crest,
Goblins.
Goblins, yeah, Goblins Quest
So it just, I don't know.
or
Like,
Gargoyle's Quest. I'm sorry,
some of the
Gargoyle's
character
Quest.
choices for Capcom I didn't agree with. I think they had so many better things they could have chosen.
Well, and it's funny because they put in Hager in
Yeah.
there, and it's like Hager is like he was a rip of Zangief,
You
basically.
gotta respect the pipe phone.
Yeah, that is
Respect the
true.
pipe.
Gotta respect the pipe.
I don't know.
Although, who really did come first? Did Hager come first or did Zangief?
Zangief.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Final Fight came out in like 1989, 1990 in arcades.
That's a good question. I suppose I can look it up.
To the internet.
Yeah.
To the net! I got
And
mine. I got
the
mine.
first Street Fighter 2 came out even in arcades. I think that was 1982.
I think just as for MVC things, one thing that I actually didn't really like about 2 as much is in MVC 1 you have a lot of like great stages based on the characters, and stages like characters have their own themes, and it felt like they were there, and like they had like the really cool like comic book stage select screen. In 2 it's like generic music that doesn't fit there with a stage select that doesn't fit for anybody, and stages that
Yeah.
don't deal with anybody.
Well, and there's really not that many stages.
Yeah, I
in
just feel like
MVC2.
it just is, it's the characters plopped in for something else. And,
That
and
was-
they took sprites from like so many different things and just popped them into something.
And I do realize that, and I do admit that I mean, even from the first time I ever played MVC2, I'm like, what the hell is this music? Why is this music playing for this game?
Hagar came first.
He
Hagar
did.
was 1989, Zangief was 91.
Oh, 91, okay.